Hello, our lovely subscribers. It is subscriber show 45.
Is it?
Fucking
Yeah.
shitloads of these now, aren't there?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day. 57 we're up to in the main one. We were going to roll, if you've watched the main show, we were going to roll, carry on talking about footy, but we've just been, we've been having lots of chit chat around this show. So we're just going to have a chat and see where it goes. Because we just
As
say,
usual.
yeah, we were just saying, it's funny, we might rename the podcast Everything. What should we call it? Everything shit. Or why is everything shit? Coming to realizations recently. I'm having big breakthroughs in my own life recently about how like being a grown up is just figuring out that everything's shit, and no one told you that enough as a kid. But then I've got this dilemma now because I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old there. You've got a little lad. It's like, well, you don't want to tell them too early, do you?
No, don't want to spoil it
ruin
for
the
them.
fucking life.
But I mean, I can remember thinking my half fella was a bit of a grumpy fella.
Yeah.
And now I'm in.
Now you realise why.
And you've
got to that point where he was just like, yeah, it's just a bit shit. Okay. I was chatting to my niece about it yesterday. She's 18. And her and my nephew are basically on the path that I was put on as a kid, which is, the golden child. You'll achieve everything in life. You'll be the multimillionaire. You'll be rich and famous. And I'm just starting to sort of gently say to them, because they're old enough now, and they're already starting to see it. I think that's one of the problems with your modern day and social media and stuff. Kids are getting exposed to this stuff at a younger age than we all did. But I mean, he's sort of getting onto that already, which is, it's just a bit shit though, isn't it? Because like, if I want to be, and I went to a look, the reality is, and I'm only realizing this at nearly 44 years old, no matter what you choose to do, there are some good bits about it and there's some bad bits about it. And usually there's a lot more shit than there is good. So the best attitude you can have in life is just focus on the good stuff and make the most of it and accept that there's loads of shit. Because the way we've all been raised is, I think generally as a society, this shit stuff isn't meant to be here. And like,
yeah, you can achieve this life where everything's good.
Yeah. And social media is bad for that, isn't the personal development world of like, hey, you fucking messing.
I get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and have an ice bath and blah, 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 blah. Fucking Sam, no one's asked. LinkedIn, get in the bin.
And the same.
So we're meant to be talking about Man City, aren't we?
I know, we'll come on to that.
We'll come on to that. That's another fucking... that should be a t-shirt.
A new t-shirt. We should just have a range of t-shirts, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
T-shirt shop. But even that, it's like, get in an ice bath. I'm like, I don't want to get in an ice bath. It's shit.
It's freezing.
I tried to get in a cold bath before because my legs were fucking killing me. And I was like, oh, a cold bath will do me good. Fucking hell. It wasn't even ice, just cold water. It's like, fuck that. I stood in it and went, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Got a hot shower instead. It was well better.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But same thing, isn't it? It's like, well, whatever you do. I've said this to people, and look, my nephew's about to experience this. I think we've touched on this before. Like, he's going to be a footballer. He's just been signed, as a 16-year-old for Wigan after being doing it since he was 4.
Oh, has he?
So made up and all that. But first thing we realised was, can't come on family holiday next year. And you're like, oh, this year. And you're like, oh yeah. All of a sudden, he's never going to, if he's a professional footballer now till he's 35, maybe 40, if he's lucky, if that's what he chooses to carry on, he stays injury free, gets a decent career at whatever level. He won't go to any of his mates or family's weddings for the next 20 years.
Unless it's like the week after the season and
or
something like that. They get a couple of weeks off, don't they? Before the pre-season.
But that's mad in itself, isn't it? No one says that to you if you want to be a footballer. When you're dreaming of being a footballer and a kid, you only get 3 weeks off every year. Imagine if you had a job and you only got 3 weeks off every year and they tell you when you can take them. Normal people would be like, well, but that's the trade-off, isn't it? But that's the point. People will be watching, yeah, but you get to play footy. I'm like, yeah, that's my point. Proves me point. Upside, downside.
Yeah.
And the other thing is as well, you go, yeah, you get to play footy. And you're like, yeah, but not everyone gets to be Steven Gerrard. Not everyone gets to earn 200 grand a week. And
you know what? Like, we were just talking about something there, weren't we? And I think this is worthy of just like a bit of a sidetrack before we go back to talking about the footy. But don't you think it's weird that like loads of people in workplaces essentially go and act for the day? Like, they don't really like that other person, but they act all smiley and happy because they want to impress them and they want a brown nose and they've got some power and they want to be seen as the next in line or the one who gets promotion or whatever. And then And then also I don't get as well where people think they've got a small amount of power but haven't necessarily, and think they can speak or act how they like towards you just because they're in a workplace, when they wouldn't dream of speaking or acting in exactly the same way if you weren't in that workplace
Yeah.
and you weren't in these supposed positions. Yeah, I just find that weird.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so you know, maybe that's like to my own detriment, but like, I just don't like it. I don't get. It's weird. I don't think like how you act and work and the real you. I don't think there should be a big gap between the two.
No, but if you ever, it's funny because you remind me, like, and it's weird, like even like the energy of the room changes. So like say you're with a big boss in work, but then you bump into that same person, or you're in a social setting and you see them in a pub or something, and all of a sudden it's like, you're just a normal person. You can't talk to me like that in here.
Have you seen that?
It's always weird, isn't it? It feels weird.
Well, have you seen that? Have you watched that Go Ed? Have you seen that?
No.
It's like a comedy drama type series set in Liverpool, in school. I think it's quite good. I think it's quite good. It's like you know, it's all like lads, and it's like, you know, supposed to be like a realistic depiction, if you like, to a point of like Liverpool now. And I liked it. I thought there was decent jokes in it. I thought it was all right. Do you know what I mean? And it's not meant to be taken, you know, dead seriously. But there was a bit in it which I liked, which is exactly what you're on about, where there's like this teacher. And there's like two girls, two pupils who like always like take the piss out of him. But like I'd always saying, "Oh, are you being a bit racist there, sir? Oh, are you being sexist there, sir?" And all that, and like, you know, they're always on his case. And then you can see he's always thinking, "Ah, shit, if that gets like flagged upstairs, I'm into."
Yeah.
So he'll always like back down and be, "Oh no, I didn't mean that." Oh, and like they buzz off the fact that they've got him wrapped around the finger. But he sees them outside of school, and he's like, he's with his like his missus or whatever, and they say something to him outside the school, and he just goes, "We're not in school now, fuck off." And I was like fucking buzzing off that, because I was like, I'm hoping whoever wrote the script that was based on reality somewhere along the way.
I love that.
Because, you know, I do as well. I always remember, right, I'll just tell this story. This is just not really to do with the point I was making, more just a wild lad that a mate of mine knew once. So when I worked at Knowsley Council, there was a fella who was quite high up, to say the least. And I didn't particularly get on with him. And loads of people did exactly that thing that I'm on about, you know, like properly brown-nosed him, like properly, like, we're all over him everywhere he went, because they thought, well, he's got some power and, you know, I might get somewhere if I cozy up to him or whatever. And I just didn't like him. Wasn't for me. But anyway, he walked into a pub in Iton, obviously outside of work. I mean, it was like after work, but it's still, you're not in work anymore, are you? So he walked in and he was strutting around the pub in the way he strutted around in work, and he had like, you know, 3-piece suit on, and he's like, you know, holding on to the lapels and all this. And like I'm sat in there with two lads that I know, one who's a bit wild. He walks past the table, like, and he's like, "Hello, Gareth," or whatever, like, and I was like, all right. And this lad who we were with, who was wild, like, he'd barely walked away from the table and letting on. He was definitely still within earshot. The lad just goes, "Who the fuck's he? He looks like he's just been fished at."
What a line.
And he just, like, he definitely heard, and he just didn't turn back. Do you know what I mean? And
He looks like he's just been
he just carried on walking, and then he never referenced it back when we were back in work either. And I thought, well, what could he do with that? Do you know what I mean? Imagine him calling me off, calling me into
Gareth.
That lad you were with on Friday after work, he said I looked like I'd been fisted. Yeah, Clarky. I very much doubt there's anyone listening who knows who Clarky is, but yeah. Well then, lad, what a line that was.
That's a great line, isn't it? What a line.
He was a mad lad, him.
I want to start writing down these lines and getting them into life.
But isn't it weird that thing I'm saying though about, well, you must have had that. You were obviously like in the corporate world. You must have seen that all the time.
Yeah, constantly. Like we've talked about this in the past, haven't we? That like, I think one of the reasons I was good, you know, I had every now and then I think, should I have just stayed there? I was good in the corporate world is that I understood the game
Yeah.
and I understood the rules of the game, but I also understood the next level of the game, which was don't kiss arse. Like most people think they understand the rules of the game when they're kissing everyone's arse and they're playing a role and all that. And I was like, nah, the next level of the game is to be sound
and treat them normally.
But I remember this actually came up once because I had a really good mate who I'm still good mates with now. And me and him, we met each other in law school and we were both just like normal lads who liked the bevy, who'd come, you know, from like a normal background, but done well. You know, gone to uni and all that and got in this world of corporate law. And we just like, we were already mates by the time we started working together. He was the year above me. So we'd be out on the ale all the time. And the people who were like, as we were getting like progressing through our careers, people would see us doing this and like new trainees had come in and they'd be like, oh, we'll be like Copey and Walshy. We'll be the Jack the lads who go out all the time. And I remember like a couple of the partners had to have a word with a couple of the youngsters once, saying to them, and I had a chat with a couple of people as well, saying, you're completely missing the fucking point. And they were like, what? And like, all you're seeing is us going out on the ale and like, staying out till 6 a.m. But what you're not seeing is we're never late. Our job performance is always spot on. Like we have earned the respect of the senior lawyers. So that means we have earned the ability to take the piss and to have a joke with them. And like we were having bevies with people outside of the office, outside of where they're. I always remember like one of the senior equity partners, his name was Jonathan. Like in the office, he was called Jonathan. And me and my mate ended up like, he was the last one out on a night out with us. He was like, can I stay with you lads? And we're like, yeah, sound. And he was boss. And he was buying us bevies. And he was one of them who was just like, it's very hard to pull this off, I think, having seen it a lot over the years. Like when someone's wealthy, but sound, like the ability to go, I'm buying all the bevies because I've got well more money than you. So you shouldn't have to buy the bevies, but it doesn't come across as being a prick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just comes across as being sound. Like in going to us.
Yeah, because it's a fine balance, isn't it? Where you're just like, buy me fucking own bevies. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he just pulled it off brilliantly, and he was just like, no, lads, look, when you're in my position, you should be buying the bevies for the junior lawyers. So let me do it. And that was very rare for senior partners to do. Do you know what I mean? But during the night, he went. I was calling him Jonathan, and he said to me, that's not my name. My name's Johnny. So call me Johnny. And I remember the next day, I was like, of course. So the next day in the office, I saw him. And I was like, all right, Johnny. And he was like, all right, Paul. And there was like a hush around me. And everyone's like,
that's the shit that I can't abide.
You can't call him Johnny. And I was like, there was like, his name's Jonathan. And I was like, I was out with him last night having a bevy. And he told me to call him Johnny. So I'm going to call him Johnny. Like, but then, Joe, you'd get a fucking young buck junior to me, who then would start calling him Johnny. And it's like, no. You've missed the point here. You've got to earn respect in these environments. And then you can start pushing the boundaries. And that's the bit where I always thought, like, I sort of understood that and you knew who you could push with and who you couldn't with and all that. But it ties into loads of stuff, because I was telling you before, I think I mentioned this to you or someone else. I was chatting to someone about someone going for job interviews, and I said it was the same conversation. And I went to him, "Well, how's it going?" And he was like, "It's just weird because like you're just you're in a play again, aren't you?" Yeah. And I went, it's mad, isn't it, that we've created this world where everyone's in a play, but it doesn't do anyone any good, because everyone's even lost sight of what a job interview's for. A job interview actually is for a company to find out whether you're a good fit for the role they need and find the right person for the right job. But what we actually do is, we have a company that tells lies about what the company is and what the role is, because they don't want to be honest. And then we have people applying for a job telling lies about who they are and what their strengths and weaknesses are. And then we have loads of people in jobs that they don't like and that aren't a good fit because no one was telling the truth. Because no company wants to go. Like all those firms I used to work for all had these, big fucking PR machines saying what type of company they were. We've talked about this before, but I'd be sitting there going, it's not though, is it? That's not what this company is. If you want people to come into this company to work for it, be honest. Like, if you want people who are a good fit, be honest. Tell them they're going to have to work 12-hour days. No, it's not. Your contract's 9 till 5. Fuck off. If someone went home at 5 o'clock,
you're all gonna make them feel, you're all gonna ostracize them, you're all gonna be on the back. I know.
So just tell the truth. And if you're coming in saying you're happy to work 12-hour days and you're not going to get very far and it's going to be shit.
One of the maddest things I ever saw was like, there was a person, it's probably the easiest way to do this, who worked in this organization and like was just like the biggest brown nose I've ever seen in my life. And like, they would constantly fuss around senior people in the organization, but like to a degree where you were just like, have you got no self-respect here? Like running up and down corridors and things like that to like, to sort a task. And it's like, whatever it is you're doing, there's no need to run ever. Like, have a look at yourself. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? But the same person was central to this particular thing where I just thought, I'm through the looking glass here. What the fuck's going on? So this senior person that I mentioned before, the fisted fella, he was already in a senior position, went for an even more senior position. It was pretty much a shoo-in that he was going to get him. And brown nose was like, we need to do something if he gets it and all this, like, and genuinely like put all this shit all around his office, and bought like a crown and all, and basically like, say his name was Paul, is just a bit trying to be a little bit careful. So basically, like, you walked back into your office having got the job, and she knew you had, and she had it all decked out, and like it said like King Paul in your office, and like there was a little crown and all. Honestly,
this is real
happened, and like I was like, I mean, you know me well enough, mate. I was fucking gone off that. I was like, King, it's a fucking job.
That's mental, isn't it?
It's a job, and this is an office, and get a grip. And I remember saying to someone, like, not the main brown nose, but like someone associated with the brown nose. I remember just saying at a future point, fucking King, like, what? Get a grip. What was? Oh, it was only a little laugh, and it was like, but it's not funny though, is it? Because look at how he acts. And you're just making it worse. Do you know what I mean? Like what the thing I said about like holding the lapels and all that. There's a true thing.
Yeah.
Would walk around like that.
Yeah.
And in fact complained once about me, it was, saying that. So like I'd gone to like another office within this organisation. And for a specific reason, I had to see someone about getting some, information or whatever. Went down, got the information, saw someone I knew in there, just had a brief chat with them, went back upstairs, and like he was sat in there at the time, but just talking to someone. And so I never thought fucking nothing of it, like, do you know what I mean? Just went back to my desk upstairs. And then he put a complaint in to like my immediate boss saying, I was in such a room and Gareth come in and didn't acknowledge me. Oh, fucking sorry, like, I mean, what is that? What is that level of ego that, like, I've got to come into a room and acknowledge you when you sat over the other side talking to someone else?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. And like, that was the culture, though. And played out to the ultimate point of someone deciding he's an actual king.
Yeah, but that's the problem. One of the biggest problems with that is, like, that person who does that is feeding into the monster. As well, do you mean? And it's funny because
exactly my point.
You prompted a memory of mine, like when I was a trainee in the same firm, and I remember the because you did 4 different departments, 6 months in each one as you were training. So you followed other trainees. Do you mean like another trainee would hand over to you and you take over their files and all that? And I've been working with this fella he's a Cockney, but up here, and got on sound with him. But I remember like having a review with him, and he was saying to me like, "Yeah, you're doing a really good job in that, but like, there's a couple of areas you're falling down." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You've never made me a cup of tea or coffee." And I was like, "What?" And
Wow.
he went, I won't name him, but he went, the girl who was in this seat before you, she's the best trainee I've ever had in all the years I've been doing this. He's like, she was brilliant. He went, I'd come in every morning and there'd be a cup of my favorite tea or a cup of my favorite coffee waiting for me, timed for when I'm getting to my desk, perfect temperature. She'd do all my photocopying for me. If she saw me in the corridor and I was walking towards the photocopier, she'd take me stuff off me and do me photocopying and all that. And I laughed and went to him, "No, what you've described there is a PA. I'm not here to be your PA. I'm a trainee lawyer. I'm here to assist you being a lawyer. You're training me to be a lawyer. And one day the idea is I'm your equal. Like my career path is to be your equal. I'm going to be a partner in this firm too. So I'm not, I didn't say this last bit, but I'm like, this was my attitude. My job here is not to make myself a subordinate to you. My job here is to show you that I'm a future partner in this firm. And if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't want some kiss arse going to me, I'll make you a cup of tea, sir. And I just went to him. He was like, so you're not going to make me a cup of tea? I went, no. I don't drink tea. I went, if I'm going in the kitchen and I'm getting a drink, if I'm going to the shop and I'm buying a can of Coke and you want one, of course I'll get you one. But I'm not going to be your lapdog. Like, that's not what I'm here for. And, I worked again, did that from a position of working hard and doing a good job. He respected me more afterwards and we got on dead well. And we would still joke ages later. He'd be like, yeah, you're still not as good as she was though. And I'm like, yeah, you can fuck off because I was never going to compete on that.
It just reinforces like the start of this particular conversation. I just can't get my head around sometimes things that happen in workplaces because it's a workplace. Do you know what I mean? Even when you've got like to the point of like, I know of people who there's been like a quite obvious, bully, and like, to more than one person, he's acted in a way where it's been totally inappropriate, and everyone's just gone, well, you know what I mean? Leave that, sound that. And I've gone, nah, go to your union, put a grievance in. It's only a workplace, not you don't need to get stressed about it. There's procedures there, and there's a union there to help you, and just sort it. Like, you can't do that. And like, eventually in that particular circumstance, the various people that it was happening to just sort of all came together and put in like a bit of a group grievance, and then in a bit gone. But like, again, I just don't get the pandering to any of that, or I just don't think any job's that important, to be honest with you either. Do you know what I mean? Like, if like someone's making your life a misery, just go like that. In a bit, I'm going. I'm sure I'll be all right. I'll live, whatever happens. Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it, and I don't think I ever will. I'm too old now. That probably too set in my ways that I'm all of a sudden going to become this like corporate animal, waking up in the morning, calling myself a tiger in the mirror, and
imagine that. Hell, I'd love to see that footage of you doing that. That's what you should do. Set up like a personal development channel where that's what you tell people. This is how I get me. This is my morning routine.
I think I've said about that other one as well from there as well, about a consultant that came in. Told you that. No doubt someone will be in the comments saying, yeah, you've literally told the same story before, Rob.
Long-term listeners will get used to our stories over the years.
We've done over 100 shows now, haven't we?
We're going to repeat ourselves sometimes.
But now it was a consultant came in and like basically took me aside. Well, went to Everton I was producing at the time and couldn't really find any fault in it. So I was obviously happy about that. But then took me aside and went like, I've just been like, watching you, and I'm just being like, looking at how you present yourself and all that. And he's like, for me, like, if you want to get on, you should just maybe tweak one or two things. And I was like, okay, well, what are we talking here? Like, and he's like, well, you know, you tend to have like a bit of stubble or whatever, you know, you tend to like be a bit unshaven. And I was like, yeah, because I like that. Don't like being shaved. You know, don't like a big beard. I'm just not into it. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, but you don't see anyone on, you know, at the top level who's like that, do you? I was like, I don't care. And he's like, well, you know, but it's a thing that, you know, if you sort of mimic them and they see themselves back in you, you're more likely to sort of end up in their group, if you like, and therefore more likely to get promoted.
Yeah.
And I just thought, so you want me to kill my own individuality to get on this corporate ladder? I'm all right, Tar.
Yeah.
I'd rather be skint.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
You have those.
But again, isn't that weird that conversation took place?
But it's funny, isn't it? Because he's right. Like, but what's wrong? And I've been realizing this for a few weeks now. Like, do you know, when I think about my main job and what am I doing, and when I'm like coaching people and helping people, and what do I think of the world, and I'm just stepping more and more into just saying what I actually think now, because I can't bear. Like, I look back at my whole life and think, yeah, for all of the stuff I've been saying to you about didn't kiss arse and all that, everything's a play. And I've realized like our entire life is a play, and I just can't stand it anymore. So I don't like doing anything where I feel like I'm not being completely authentic.
Yeah.
So even sometimes we'll have a conversation and afterwards I'll think, oh, there was a little bit in that I didn't like because I didn't actually say what I wanted to say. So every week I'd a little bit more go, no, this is what I actually think. And I got to a point a few weeks ago where I was like, what do I actually think? And I was like, the whole world is like, not the whole world, the Western society is backwards. Everything is upside down. And that leads you to a place where people go, so sorry, Copy, Paul, whoever's addressing me. What you think of the world is right. And what 98% of the world think is wrong. And I'm like, yep, that's what I think. And it's not just me. Like, there's a world I am in now where everyone's like, yeah. And when you start talking to people about it, like these types of conversations, you just talk about it logically. Most people go, yeah, actually, you're right, aren't you? Like, yeah, so that fella who's giving you that advice as a consultant, he's right inside the weird world that we've created as a society.
Yeah.
The thing that's completely wrong is the whole world's upside down. He shouldn't be right. The advice should be, you be your best self and you go and find a role for you in life that is the perfect fit for your best self. And what will come with that is what we said before. There'll be some good bits and there'll be some shit bits, but you get to be your best self. And if you don't want to shave, don't fucking shave. And if you don't want to wear a tie, don't wear a fucking tie. And your bosses, if you've got bosses, will be sound with that because they're just like you. But instead of getting that advice, we get all this other bullshit advice. And that's what the world is full of. What you need to do is get in an ice bath in the morning, pray to the fucking moon, stare at the fucking stars, eat only green vegetables until 11 o'clock, then go for a shit. And then you're like,
I know.
Why? Is that
mad,
what's the? And I was saying this to Siobhan at the weekend, like, this is what no one does. And I've realized this watching loads of personal development stuff, especially. No one goes, like, before that fella gave you advice, he's assuming what you want.
I know.
No one's saying,
I know, yeah.
And no one does this online. Like, I see people giving out advice online and no one goes, I'll give you a perfect example, right? I heard Tim Ferriss, who I really like, best-selling author, huge podcast, giving advice to people. And he said, I get lots of people asking me about this. Should I write a book? And this is his advice. And I realized it was advice he'd had off another best-selling author years ago. You should only write a book if you're prepared to put in a year of your life, sacrifice everything else, and make it the best book it can possibly be. Because the last thing this world needs is another mediocre book. And I listened to him and went, I couldn't disagree more. Why? Because you haven't checked in with the person who's asking, should they write a book? What they're trying to achieve.
What's it for, yeah.
Just no one ever does that. No one goes, well, before I answer your question, what are you trying to achieve? Do you want to? He's just assuming they want to write a best-selling, #1 New York Times best-selling book.
To get it out the system.
What if they just want to write a book?
Yeah.
What if they just want to write a memoir? What if they just want to give something to their grandkids? What if they just want to have a go at writing a book?
Yeah.
Does every book have to be the greatest book that's ever written? No. Was Stephen King's first book the greatest book he's ever written? No.
Throw it in the bin.
There you go. And so I hear this advice all the time, and I'm like, it's bullshit. let's start with, what is it you want to achieve in life? Do you want to climb the greasy ladder and be like these knobheads at the top who aren't very happy, by the way, and actually would rather not shave every day and don't want to wear a tie? No, I don't want to be like them. Okay, well, let's give you some different advice then. Do you know what I mean?
There's a fella I keep seeing on my commute, and I just think you're such a fucking bellend, mate. And like, and I just think, like, you know, what are you doing? Because he's got a Golf, right? That sound. I used to have a Golf. And I'm not casting aspersions on anyone who drives a Golf. I'm not really asked what anyone drives. I'm not that into cars, you know what I mean? But I'm just telling you what I know about him. He drives a Golf, and it's a fast one, right? So he does all that bell-end stuff that people do on roads, but he's a grown man. Like, you know, he's not a kid. He's a fully grown adult man, and he does all that driving up your ass, undertaking, you know, and all that fucking overtaking, undertaking, fucking on bends, you know, all like mad dangerous maneuvers. And it just turns out that he's fucking, wherever he's coming from and wherever he's going to, I keep crossing paths with him.
Brilliant.
And I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not racing with the bell end. I don't give a shit. I've got a fucking 1400 mocker, and I'm not winning no race, and I don't want to race. And every time I've seen him, like, I seen him, the first time I seen him, he come ragging up. And so I went to change lane, thinking, oh, here's some fucking bell end. And he'd already decided to fucking undertake me. So I'm changing lane, and he nearly fucking hit me. And I had to, like, swerve back into the way you're meant to overtake.
Yeah.
And I'd indicated, like, it was just because he was ragging his car. And so, like, when he drove past, I obviously give it the full wanker sign. And he just burnt off into the distance. And I didn't bother. I didn't put my foot down. I didn't chase after him. I'm not arsed. But then I've seen him 2 or 3 other times, and he's still doing it. Not just to me, to loads of other. I watched him, and he's doing it to all other people as well. And I just thought, what the fuck is going on in your life that you're doing that at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Like, you're either gonna get nicked, kill yourself and other people, or someone's just gonna twat you. And it's not gonna be me. Can't be asked. But I like, genuinely, and like, he's got shirt and tie on and all that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but this is the funny thing.
What job's he going to in that state of mind?
Yeah. But and he's like, that used to be me. That used to be me. Get everywhere as fast as you fucking can. And it's like, why? But it's funny because it reminds me just how different I am to who I used to be. Like, I was listening to Gary Neville's getting another mention here on their podcast, and I said,
"You fucking love him, don't you?"
I fucking love him. Honestly, it's the new Elon Musk, isn't he? For long-term listeners and viewers,
you being
people
fucking,
are like, fucking copy.
You come in next week saying you're doing a course at his uni and all kinds.
Will I get labelled a right-wing extremist for liking Gary Neville, or is that just a Musk thing? What was I going to say? Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the bit where, like, they've started to, I was saying to you, they release, like, the bit where before they've started the podcast officially, they're just chatting, and he goes to Ian Wright, who I just think is a dead lovely fella. I think he's 60 now, which is mad because he looks great for his age. But I love him, dead relaxed. He's clearly been through a lot in his life and been through a bit of therapy and stuff, and he's just very chilled out, very nice attitude to life, friendly, likes wearing his own clothes, his own style. I love all that now. Like, be you. And Gary Neville goes to him. Because Gary Neville's what I used to be like, that guy you've just described. I've heard Carragher say about him, like, have you ever heard this? Like, he's running all these businesses and that. And he said, I've seen him, like, he'll have his laptop out 5 minutes before the match is about to kick off that we're doing co-commentary on. And then he said, I'm looking across thinking, oh, he must be looking up some last minute stats or whatever. And he's there doing fucking emails for one of his businesses. It's like, fucking Gary, slow down.
Yeah.
You're going to fucking kill yourself. And that used to be me. And he went to Ian Wright. He went, righty, can I just ask you? He went, why on all your text messages you put, I hope you're well? And Ian Wright was like, because I hope you're well. I'm just being nice. And he went, yeah, but that's just a waste of time, isn't it? Like, think of how much time you're wasting every day. If you send out X number of text messages and you put hope you well on every one, you're wasting like 30 seconds every day. That's, 3 minutes a week. You add that up over a month and I was listening to him going, fucking hell, that was me. That used to be me. And you have it in your head that somehow it's like, so by the end of the year,
what are you chasing?
You've lost 3 days saying I hope you're well to people. And you're like, yeah, but that's not how it works. No one's saving up those fucking 3 seconds every day and then giving you 3 days at the end of the year. You're losing that.
I've seen a new one on emails, by the way. Remember we talked about emails? Just BW.
BW, best wishes.
Yeah.
Is it?
But just BW though.
Yeah, well, you think of the time you save.
The time you save it, not typing out best
by
wishes.
the end of the year, you've saved a day and a half, not right now.
I was just thinking there, I don't know whether you took a note of how far we're into the show or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, imagine, like last week we sold it, didn't we?
I've just been thinking the exact
last
same
week
thing.
we did the show and we were like, if you want to continue to come over to Patreon and we'll carry on.
Yeah.
And you know, people said they did as well. And I looked at the stats and it looked quite good. It looked as though like loads of people. So if that's happened this week, you're like, hang on, when are you talking about fucking Man City? It's the biggest game of the season. These pricks are going on about work, life, emails, Gary fucking Neville.
That lad's been telling a story about a fella who races him to work and he doesn't even work. And he's fucking talking about his fucking old job.
Some bellend who was getting fisted or whatever.
It's mad you've raised. I was literally thinking that 10 minutes ago, thinking we've done 40 minutes on this now.
Sorry, everyone.
Look,
Soz but not soz.
You know, it ties into exactly what we're saying. If you want to sign up for Patreon, don't let us mislead you that we're always talking about footy. Some people complain when we talk about too much footy, don't we? Some people have left because we've talked about too much footy. But some of it's
like, sometimes as well, like, you know, with some of it, like, you know, in the first show that we did this week, you know, literally, which was a few minutes ago or whatever, obviously we both had loads to say about all that bollocks, post-Forest, etc. We've got City this weekend. Like, what can me and you say that isn't absolutely fucking captain obvious? You know what I mean? It's a fucking big game, isn't it, lad? Big game, huge.
Monumental.
Yeah, it is all of those things. And like, I'm genuinely like a bit nervous about it, like, which I haven't felt that for a while about footy. Like, you know, I've thought about, you know, love, hate, and not sure where I am with it and all that. But I've loved this season. And when I started thinking about that, I was actually thinking, like, I genuinely do feel a bit nervous about it. And like, I've already like thrown the messages into my mate saying, listen, we've got to have a little live in it before that one. Like, we like pre-match bevies have gone off the radar a bit for me and my mates. We've not been doing that for a while. Post-match, yeah, down, but pre-match, dead it missed. Hardly ever done it for a good while. And I was like, we've got to on Sunday. I can already feel that'll just be a bag of nerves, and I just need like a little settler before I get myself in the ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, madly, I'm in London for the weekend because it was me elder stepson's 6th birthday, and he's been laying out London in school. I said this to Siobhan about comparing it to when we were kids. I was like, can we have a little chat about this though? And they're not my biological kids, so we've been there. I've been together 2 years now and all that, and it's all very settled and stuff. But do you a bit like, I went, how much are we spending on a 6th birthday here? Do you know what I mean? He's already had a party and all his presents, and now we're going to London for the weekend. That's like a 500 quid birthday present. And you're like, oh yeah. But that aside, because he was London, and we're like, oh well, it's a family trip and all that. But I realised then it's the weekend we play City, and I was like, well, look, I don't want to miss that game. Even the biggest people pleaser part of me wanting to like be a family man and all that. But it's interesting because her brother is an Arsenal fan. So I'm going to be watching
with him.
Any sound that we get on dead well. So I'll be watching that City game with an Arsenal fan, which is a mad twist.
So you'll want to draw then?
He'll want to draw. Well, I don't know, because they play them we play them, and then I didn't realise there's an international break, isn't there? So, and then I think they play them immediately after the international break. So I don't know whether if you're an Arsenal fan, do you want to draw or do you want City to win? Thinking we'll then beat City, so knock Liverpool out. Probably a draw, because I'm thinking that we'll want City and Arsenal to draw. But go on, because we've got 50 minutes left, so let's have a chat about this. What are your feelings about it? Because what you're saying about the nerves, I am a bit like, it's been unbelievable this run, and especially, and this is the other bit that I'm sick of, actually. Like, we touched on this last week, and more people are mentioning it now. But all the drop ball shit aside, we've just won another game. And even Klopp said it, like, if you'd have said to him 4
That's got to be
games
one
ago,
of the best weeks of supporting Liverpool, and
Well,
a cup at one end, staying in another cup in the middle, and then staying top of the league at the end of it.
And there was a game before that as well, wasn't there? Like, so it was 4 games, and with the injuries, the injuries we've got, and it's like, if you'd have said to us before that, can we win all 4? He'd have said no chance.
I know.
With the squad we've got available to us, we've won all 4. But then I'm looking at it thinking, and when you're just looking at updates and things, going, any hopes of getting any more players back, lads? Because it's all well and good. Bobby Clark doing a good job, and Jayden Dan's doing a good job against Luton or Chelsea even, and at Wembley it's great. But playing Man City's a different beast, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You can even imagine those lads going, can we just go back to the bench now?
Dominic, you're all right. Do you think you'll be able to play Sunday,
Any chance Curtis could be back?
Mo, you're up. Come on, lad.
Yeah.
We could. I mean, we definitely, obviously, could do with them. Those 2 for a start off.
But so I was thinking this, because Szoboszlai's back. You would think he'll start, because. But this is a question to throw in, like, because obviously we've got Sparta Prague.
Yeah.
So what's your game this week? If around that, are you gonna? What would you do? Would you use that as literally a preparation game for City?
Prague?
Yeah.
No.
What would you do?
I mean, Prague's 2 legs, isn't it? So
yeah,
there's wriggle room, and we've all been made up with sort of like the unbeaten run and the performances and all that. But in Europe, he's already gambled with a few. We lost to Toulouse, obviously, and things like that. So I think, but how much wriggle room has he got is the big question, isn't it? Because I'm sure if everyone was available, we'd see these young sides that we've been forced to play. We'd see that against Prague anyway, knowing the big hitters are coming in to play against City. He might not have the choice. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how many realistically beyond what we already had are available? Even someone like Gravenberch or something, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's definitely starting. Walking away with his foot in a thing, after the League Cup final. Yeah. So I'm not sure where they're all at, to be honest. And obviously by the time this actually comes out, which is going to be after we've recorded, there'll be more information in the minds of people who are listening and watching. So it will be in a different place again. But I would be saying, not that you throw the Prague game away, but there's time to claw it back the other side, is what I'm saying. Yeah. City's the one, isn't it?
But that's what I mean about using it as a preparation game. I'd basically be looking at my Prague side, and I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks now. Do you know this whole, again, footy cliches, they were saying, Everton evens itself out. That whole cliche, if we take one game at a time, you're like, that's absolute bullshit, Jürgen. And everybody knows it's bullshit. If you're playing one game at a time, you would always play your strongest team, wouldn't you? You wouldn't. You'd be like, you play every game.
Benefit, isn't it? It's because they all know now. The managers know, the players know that everything you say is twisted and turned into headlines. And even when you play an absolute straight bat, sometimes they still find a way. And then you'd often get the more bullshit managers like Klopp will redress it and say, well, that's not what I said, or why have you done that, or whatever. But if you watch those press conferences in full on the regular, you'll see him say loads of times, can't be bothered with the headlines that'll come if I answer that type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, that straight batting is almost like, when someone does say something, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, fucking hell, this is I always wanted to be, a football reporter and went for a job at the Echo, didn't get it and all that, blah, blah, blah. Obviously did the rap stuff. But when you do it intensely, day after day, week after week, so much of it is fucking formulaic, circular. You hear the same things over and over again. They sort of wheedled out personalities out of people, really. That's why I quite like Dan's, doing his interview. One, he was really confident and good, but he seemed just genuine, I dreamed of doing that in front of the cop, and I've just done it. Yeah. Boss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was great. It was
that was possible. It ties into what we were saying before, which is why we end up talking about what we did at the start of the show, because it's the same thing, isn't it? Like, you think that'd be a great job to do, but actually you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But same with being a coach, isn't it? Like, you're doing the same thing over and over again.
But about City there, though, the one thing is now we've almost ended up with, bizarrely, like a bigger squad than we previously had, haven't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because of the kids.
Because
that
now
come
all
through.
these kids who've all been blooded and played in big games and won a trophy already.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Dans has won more silverware than Harry Kane. Like, that's fucking wild, isn't it?
Stuff like that is genuinely, like, I've been laughing. I nearly threw in, but we haven't had time to get to most things on the agenda as we will usually do. I nearly threw in about Everton, like, because in this week this is all happening. They get their points back, but then they get beat at home by West Ham.
The manner
And you're
that
like,
was wild.
can you imagine being in Everton?
Did you see it?
Every year? I didn't see it, other than the
20 odd shots and all that. Again, like, they've done that, I think, 4 times, and three times when they've had 20 plus shots, they've lost. But like the Suchek, I think it is, goal. Okay, now it's like, where's he fucking pulled that from?
Unreal, is it?
It's a beauty, like. And like, they, like I say, they had all of those shots as well, and it's
happening to them, and they've got to sit and watch this with us.
So Everton, that, like,
it's just ridiculous, isn't it? And
that's where we get, they give us shit, don't they? Like, you see it on social media, and you're just like, just get it. But like, I get it, because it's like, it must be so fucking frustrating. Do you know what I mean? I just can't imagine. I mean, I know my mate is there, and like, and I see sometimes with him, and I'll pull him on it, like, me being me. Do you know what I mean? Like, he put in our group the other week, why are you so weird? And it was some tweet that no one I know, like, it's someone who's prepared to be a red. I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
they're not to do
they're not
with
speaking
me
on behalf of us.
No, but it was like they'd made this weird graphic of like Virgil with, like, as though he was like almost like taking the kids to school, and had all the young lads as though like they were small, and like Virgil was massive, and it was weird. Don't get me wrong, and I don't know why the person who did it, but it says fuck all about Liverpool fans in general, because we're all individuals, but two, I won't fucking dream of doing that, and I don't know anyone who would.
Yeah,
but he just sees it, and because he's got the Evertonian blue mist, yous are all weird. And I just went back straight away and went, oh, what? And is every Evertonian fucking normal, are they?
Yeah.
I was like, where do you want me to fucking start with that one? I was like, I've just heard Derek Hatton on the radio, and he's talking about your points getting, like, getting 4 points added back on. I said, he was making perfectly valid points, and he was, I was like nodding along, going, yeah. And then out of nowhere, he just starts going on about Masters, basically kissing Klopp at Wembley, and isn't all that a bit cozy? And you got Jeff Stelling going, hang on, what are you saying here, Derek?
Yeah.
Like,
what's your point?
And it was just the Evertonian come out.
Yeah.
And you see it with him. Like, why have you put that in a group full of Reds, about some shit graphic that you've seen? Because in Everton Twitter, they're all sharing it, go, look at these fucking knobheads. Well, what about that ginger girl who makes weird videos, who supports Everton? I don't get what that's about. It's not funny. I think that's weird.
It's the same with any fan base, isn't it? You can pick any. There's millions. Yeah. But that's funny. Where did we get to from that? I think the City, the Prague game, well, actually, the point I was going to make there was, the funny thing about the whole, when that graphic was going around about Jaden Dans, and it was like 3 games, 2 goals, 1 trophy. That was when I was thinking about Everton. It's like people were saying, like, did we say this last week? Like, since Neil Everton last won a trophy, Neil Dans has grown up, become an adult, had a kid. He's grown up and played for Liverpool. But the madder, even when you stop and think about it, the even madder thing is, if you said to Everton, would you like Jaden Dans to play for you? He'd be their best striker, wouldn't he? So, going back to your point, the mad thing is, and I think that is true now, like, Jaden Dan's coming off the bench for us with 10 minutes left in any game, even against City. You'd be like, could get a goal.
Yeah,
he's going to cause trouble. He's going to do something.
Look at City. I mean, like, for all the money that they've got and all that, and the advantages that they have in massive speech marks there. But like earlier in the season, it was against Newcastle, was it? Oscar Bob. I mean, some kid.
Absolutely.
as far as we're concerned. So yeah, I mean, those some kids, those we mentioned it before, didn't know, about like the sort of elite mentality that seems to exist right through this squad. You need it's ideally we want the big hitters, and we want as many big hitters as we can possibly have on the pitch. But like I'd regard Bradley now as a big hitter. Like he's good. He's a first team player. He hasn't won the lottery. He's not in the side because like there's no one else. He's in the side on merit.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck who he's playing against. He'll take people on. He'll run at them. He'll defend. He'll get in the face. He'll fucking go toe to toe with them, and he can do it, no problem. He's that level. That's sound. We're all right.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the lads in midfield and all that, like you said before, you'd be a bit more worried about. If you're having to start them, you want an experienced midfield, obviously.
Yeah.
And, Endo will be in there, won't he? McAllister will be in there, and hopefully Szoboszlai. And then if we've got Mo back, I just think that'll be massive. I don't know where he's at, but
well, it's all gone quiet on that, hasn't it? And so he's the big one for me, because I'd be looking at Prague and saying, right, the away game, because we've got a home game to pull it back. So as long as we just do a good job.
You know what Mo's like as well? If he's about and ready,
we'll play.
But for Prague though, you'd be like, get me on the bench.
Yeah, but that's my thing. I'd be saying, right, okay, so we want to give Szoboszlai 45 minutes at least against Prague to get his legs going again, because you don't want him just thrown straight back into the pace of a City game. Because think about that game. I heard Neville say about United City. All right, United went ahead, but that was just
you knew what was
it's
coming.
just a steamroll, isn't it?
You knew
Whereas
what was coming.
Liverpool City and City Arsenal, they're going to be proper games of footy, aren't they? They're going to be the games of footy. Do you know when sometimes you watch us and City and you're knackered just watching it?
Yeah.
Because the pace of the game is just off the charts. You don't really want Szoboszlai being thrown into that without his legs getting back up to speed. So that'd be nice. But also, if Mo can get fit and get a few minutes against Prague, it does just add that, like, Harvey Elliott can go back to being a sub, and you've got to move then. Gakpo can go back onto the bench. You've got two moves off the bench there, and it just adds that little bit of extra, doesn't it?
And you've got Nunes, who has done what he's just done, but also, you can tell he's a fellow who just like thrives on emotion.
Yeah.
And the fucking ground's going to be full of that on Sunday.
You think that? I think this game, playing Man City at home in that atmosphere is built for Nunes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because
they do, and they will leave space in behind, which is just perfect for him. And when you watch the Chelsea game against them the other week, and the number of times Chelsea broke past them, and we'll be able to do that. And it's the question is, does he take his chances?
United, Rashford scored like one of them where you just got to go, that's an absolute belter. And like, it's not like you can plan to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, did you see that? That's a weakness. It's not a weakness. No. He hit a fucking beauty and it went in off the bar. Yeah. And then, but like, did you see where he was nearly through? And then he's fucked his touch a bit. And then, Ten Hag is trying to say that he was fouled. And then he's literally the reporter goes, have you seen it back? It's like, well, I know it's soft, but you're like, it's not, mate. His touch let him down. But there was space in behind them against them as well. And that was them knowing that Rashford's got pace, etc. It's the way they play, isn't it? So, yeah, it's interesting, like, because, well, the other thing with Guardiola is he's still got his Anfield thing, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's still wearing his head massively.
Yeah.
And, they beat us in COVID, didn't they, when no one was there and all that. But he's got that thing, I think, where he might overthink it. Do you know what I mean? And he'll have them doing something different because it's Anfield and because it's Liverpool. And in a weird way, because we've seen it before, that could end up playing into our hands. But either way, the atmosphere is going to be a belter. I think, ideally you'd want it on a Saturday rather than a Sunday. But Liverpool being Liverpool, I think everyone will go to the pub anyway.
That's all right, isn't it? Yeah. I think 4:30. I'm glad it's just not early.
Yeah, everyone knows that how crucial this could be. It's literally a point between the sides. We've lost the league twice by a point by a cigarette paper. So everyone walking into that ground at the weekend knows how big it is, and we'll bring their A game. So we can bank on that.
Yeah.
And then we just have to hope that it's one of them. I mean,
well, the reality is,
I feel they're more.
The league, it's mad, isn't it? We're a point ahead of them going to this game, and I think we'll all feel the same way. Which is, even though we're a point ahead of them, and if we draw, we stay a point ahead of them. I think we're all thinking
Win.
you want to beat them.
Yeah, 100%.
You want to give them that
None
blow.
of this take a point shit. I'd love us, obviously, and I'd love it if we beat them. But we've got to use that. We've got to use Anfield. We've got to use what we're about. This is our advantage. Like we can't do the financial thing. We don't want to do the ignore the rules thing. This is where our advantage comes. Anfield, the people, the power of that, the energy of a Klopp side, the getting in the face thing, the pissing off Guardiola thing. Do all that. Yeah. Do all that.
Yeah. Well, and Klopp has said himself, hasn't he? And we're going to see. I've already seen people saying it's got to be feral. It's got to be that atmosphere at Anfield when it's not singing. It's just wild.
Noise, yeah.
And Klopp will he'll do a rallying cry before the game, which he should, and everyone who's going to that ground should be going with that mentality, and I think they will. It's Klopp's last big game against City,
yeah,
or save for any cup competition, but this is the big one, and it's funny that I like the omens coming out already. Did you see the 1920 last minute winner with Man City to come to Anfield the following week, which was the Villa game, wasn't it? And then this week, last minute winner with Man City to come to Anfield the following week. And
I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah,
it's on. It's on.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, what you just said, which I think is absolutely right. Guardiola is petrified, and we saw it like not too long ago against Luton with a kid's side. And I really like Rob Edwards when he came out and said, we got to witness the power of Anfield tonight. This is what it really is. So all your where's your famous atmosphere stuff, that's it. And we know already that Guardiola is petrified of that, isn't he? He's petrified of that 15 minutes. I remember last time they came and you could see he'd gone Mourinho on it. It was like when that 15 minutes, it's like he'd done a whole session on it. Yeah. When that 15 minute comes, kick it out. Just stop the game. Just kill the atmosphere. Forget trying to play footy.
Yeah.
Forget trying to do what I tell you to do all the rest of the time. This is different. So it'll be really interesting to see how they handle it when that comes, because there will be a spell in the game when that comes.
And look, if we do have to lean on some of the kids again, they'll be all right. I think they'll be all right. They're at Anfield. They're at our home. Most of them have now played there. All of them have now played there, ones who'd likely be called upon. So they've got nothing to fear. Okay, they're playing a great side and all that, but Klopp will turn it round the other way and say, "This is your moment to go and shine, isn't it?" Do you know what I mean? Like they did at Wembley. Yeah. I liked. Did you see? When we played Southampton, did you see their manager getting interviewed and he was getting a bit of a cob on with Ali Man, I think it was. Yeah, because he was just sort of like he was just trying to drag as much as he could out of him, but he was going on about the kids type of thing and all that, and the fact that they've been beaten by them, and he basically went, the Southampton manager went, "The good,
yeah,
the good, they're at Liverpool, the good."
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And he didn't want to. You could tell he just didn't want to feed the story. He couldn't be arsed. He was pissed off that they'd lost and all that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I quite liked that when he just went, the good,
Yeah.
And
you don't get to play for Liverpool without being good.
Yeah, it's not some Willy Wonka golden ticket they're here because they've been here since they were 8, 7, whatever.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, look, time to wrap up. We always have a little check-in on the odds, and City are still odds on to win the league as we're sitting here and recording this. They're 10-11. We're 15-8. Arsenal are 4-1. They've drifted well out, which is a bit mad, I think, considering we've got the City game and then they get to play City as well. So, but who knows?
The Devil's Club could triumph over evil.
Yeah. In a week's time, those odds might have shifted. So yeah, we'll leave it there.
Bring it on.
If you joined us for the first time today, I hope you enjoyed it. The whole point of this is to add a bit of enjoyment and entertainment to your life, not just to talk about footy. We like to mix it up, which also with the summer coming up means that we're in a different place to other podcasts, because footy podcasts don't have much to talk about through the summer, do they?
Whereas we can just
talk about shite, as you've heard. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you joined us for the first time, as you've seen, there's loads, it's like 40 odd other episodes you can go back and fill your boots with during a free trial. If you want to carry on after that, you can do it for as little as £1 a week. Spread the word. If you like it, tell your mates about it. And that's it. Big week ahead. We'll see you next week.